Welcome to r/malicious compliance, where we share stories of people conforming to the letter, but not the spirit of a request. And today we have 3 great stories, so subscribe, hit the like button, and let's begin. The first story. I was in a car accident, and when I asked for help lifting heavy boxes, I was told I'd need a doctor's note. The second story. Boss failed the event because he did not warn us in advance. The third story. When a company acts like you're trapped and tells you to try going with someone else, do it. And the first story was in a car accident and was asked for a doctor's note. A little background story first. So this happened a few years ago, while I was working as an assistant produce manager for a local grocery chain. I was young and dumb and was still unfazed by lack of sleep, so my friend and I decided to hang out at a bar, less than 8 hours before my shift was scheduled to begin. Now, while we were at a bar, we each only had 1 drink in 2 hours, and only spent the time at the establishment because you needed to have a drink to play pool. $6 each for unlimited games isn't bad. Around midnight, we left and decided to take the scenic backwoods road home. Unfortunately for us, we got more than the lovely scenery. We ended up losing control and rolling completely over because something ran out in front of us. Luckily, I didn't have any fractures or breaks, but my arm did get covered in glass. Took us about an hour of sobriety tests, which we both passed, waiting for the police record to tow the vehicle and transportation to the local police station so that we can be picked up. Also, another hour until we could find someone awake to take us home. By the time I was back in the comfort of my own house, it was 2 hours before I would have to leave. I was the only one scheduled with the ability to do the produce order. Literally no one else knew how to do it, and if it wasn't in by 9 a.m., nothing was coming for the next day. And because of an inflated sense of loyalty I still held for my job at the time, I decided that I would show up. Still pumped full of adrenaline, I showered and went to work. As soon as I punched in was when I started to come down from my adrenaline high. I was sore and tired. At 8 a.m. I called my boss and told him the order was done, and I would be leaving, as soon as all the managerial duties were done, and any worker could handle the department. I told the store manager I was going to urgent care. They took me pretty quickly, and I was home with several prescriptions by 10. The next day I was still in rough shape, but I wouldn't be running the department. The produce manager would be on with me, and because the way we worked, he would break down the shipment and load a bunch of carts that I would fill the tables with. I thought I'd be okay for the day. My boss was notorious for working whatever hours he felt like, but I never let it bother me too much until this day. When I arrived at work, my boss was gone, and half of the day's delivery was already put away. He decided in his infinite wisdom to just work overnight and have me handle the rest. For the first few hours, I struggled to get anything done. The physical portion of my job took more of a toll on my back than I expected, and at 9 a.m., when the store manager showed up, I went to him and complained. I explained about the car accident that he already knew about and asked if I could have some help. Someone to lift the heavier boxes onto a cart, and I'd be able to take it from there. His response? You need a doctor's note listing these restrictions. Cue malicious compliance. I called the urgent care location I went to the previous day and spoke to the same healthcare professional. After explaining what was happening, I requested a doctor's note limiting the amount of weight I would be expected to lift for a few days. Needless to say, she was shocked. You shouldn't be at work at all right now. I'll give you a doctor's note until your prescriptions end, but you need to take the next few days off. I told her I had 2 days off in a row coming up, and she wrote me a doctor's note saying I couldn't work until afterwards. She emailed me the note and I gave it to the boss, now off of work for the next 5 days. Edit. A lot of people are commenting that the store manager was doing me a favor, or covering their own A. You could be right, but the tone and attitude I received didn't convey that at the time. My being injured outside of work didn't qualify me for workers' compensation, as per company rules, and any injury I did sustain could be directed towards the accidents as the cause. We're talking retail work here. There was once a cashier that had a lifting restriction of 10 pounds. When he got into arguments with the front-end manager, they transferred him to janitor, a job that required him to empty compost bins that could weigh up to 200 plus pounds. They told him they didn't expect him to do the work, but it was his responsibility to find someone to do it for him. It seems to me that you should have been given a certificate right away so you could show it at work. I can understand the manager, because you have no proof that you can't lift heavy things, so he told you to get the certificate so he wouldn't have a problem with the supervisor later. I'm surprised you even went to work in this condition. You should have stayed home. It's also better to have a medical certificate that you can't lift anything heavy. If you hurt yourself at work by lifting something when you shouldn't, they can write it off as a car accident and you won't get compensation. Frankly, I would have scolded the manager for not asking for a note sooner, because an injured employee poses a greater risk to himself and other employees. If OP was further injured, he would have had to be absent for more than 5 days. At my company, our manager didn't ask for a note from the doctor and was fired because the employee was injured. The next story is, this is a reminder that you approved this policy and agreed to abide by it. I worked in a combined IT and AV department for a somewhat large organization, so if there are any events going on, we're responsible for setting it up, which usually involves setting up sound systems, projectors, and cameras, and ensuring that when someone plugs in their laptop, it functions as expected. For years, we got a lot of last-minute requests. Some of them were literally along the lines of, we're having a gathering tomorrow with 300 people. We need audio and projectors set up for 9 a.m. tomorrow, and for you to advance the slides for us. Plus, this video in my PowerPoint presentation doesn't work. Can you fix it up? We know you leave work in half an hour, but can you set it up? We knew about this for weeks, but nobody thought to tell you. So one day we complained to our manager, who agreed it was BS, and asked us to draft a policy that he could take to upper management and get them to sign off on. We did, and it was very straightforward. You need to give at least 5 business days notice for events, presentations, and media must be finalized and playable without internet access. One less thing to go wrong, and you're responsible for advancing the slides, because we're there to fix computer issues, not read your script and press buttons. Our manager took it to upper management, who agreed it was a good idea, and they signed off on it, and it was distributed to all staff. We had some people slip up, but they were held accountable and promised not to do it again. Funnily enough, we have a form on our help desk system, another thing my manager pushed heavily for, based on our research, which made the organization look amazing because we helped hundreds of people during the pandemic, that lets people request event support. It has 4 sections. What time and date is this event? Where is the event taking place? Tick the boxes for all the equipment you need. Fill out any additional info that may be useful for us. It then comes to us as a help desk ticket, where we can ask questions, attach documents, collaborate with the rest of the team, and so on. Then when the event is done, we mark the ticket as resolved. Simple. One day, someone from upper management emailed us. Let's call him Bill. Bill was holding an event for 600 people with a guest speaker, who had to be booked weeks in advance. The guests would need their laptop connected to the internet, because they had YouTube videos. The projector set up and wireless microphones set up because they'd hand mics around for people to participate. The speaker was due to speak Monday morning, and it was Thursday lunchtime. Plenty of time to set it up, but less than 5 business days notice. Plus, we were double booked by someone who followed the rules, so we said no, even though he was upper management. Bill was not happy. He demanded to know why we were refusing to set things up, when there was at least 12 working hours between now and the event. And all that was required was to power on the projector, turn on the mixer and turn on the microphones, and then set up the person's laptop when they arrived Monday. Our manager heard his complaints and sent him an email. Dear Bill, my team have said no to setting up for this event, and I support their decision. Attached is the policy on event support. This is a reminder that you approved this policy and agreed to abide by it. Attached are general instructions on how to set things up for yourself. Best of luck. Bill couldn't run the event without us, and had to run a lot, and had a bunch of technical problems that interrupted the event. At least he learned that if you sign up to the rules, you have to follow them, because he hasn't slipped since. This guy got what was coming to him. You have a policy, he agreed to it, so everything else is his problem. You don't have to waste your time solving other people's problems. I'm not surprised his event failed, and your manager is a very good man. He did the right thing and protected you. Most managers would have done a yes sir to Bill, and had the people do it on short notice. There is a hidden secret set of rules of upper management. There are no rules for upper management. That's why what your manager did was so refreshing and rare. Yeah, this is a good policy. One time my manager told me to wash all the dishes in the bar, but my shift was over in half an hour. I refused because it would have taken 2 to 3 hours. He threatened to fire me and I decided to quit my job. I wasn't getting paid enough anyway. The last story is my house in the middle of the street. When I pay my mortgage, I round up and divide in half. I pay half every other week, so my mortgage got picked up by another company when my mortgage company went out of business. To do what I was doing with the new company was $300 to enroll, and an extra $40 each payment. Oh hell no. I spoke to my credit union, and they had an auto pay that would pay my bills from my direct deposit free. So nearly a year goes by and I get one of those scary A letters. You're in default on your mortgage. Unless we get X payment within 10 days of this letter, we will foreclose. I was astounded, since I had never missed a payment and was actually paid a couple of months ahead. I spoke with their accounting department. It seems they couldn't accept half payments, only full payments, even though they had done so for a year. So the money had to sit unapplied until a full payment was accrued. That made sense, except again, they got more than enough, and it was always in there in full before the due date. So on the due date, they should have just taken it and applied it to the mortgage. So further digging, the rep says to me, "Oh, by the way, we have $8,200 of unapplied funds in this account. What do you want to do with it?" Pay my mortgage with it? Oh, we can't do that. So I had to get a check cut for $8,200, pay $45 for them to overnight it to me, take it to my credit union, cash it, pay $25 for a cashier's check, and pay another $45 to send the cashier's check back to them. I called relentlessly to see when it had arrived, and had all kinds of postal tracking, signature, confirmation, etc. Remember, I only had 10 days to get this SH straight. So they get it and verify that it is applied to my mortgage, that there will be no foreclosure. The rep tells me, "Well, your next payment is due in 2 weeks, and there will be penalties and late fees applied, so the amount is XYZ, and we're raising your interest rate to nearly twice what it was before." No, all this is your company's fault. She says, "You knew these were the terms and conditions when you took out your mortgage with us." No, I didn't take it out with you. I took it out with another company, and I was assigned to your company. Well, don't be late with the next payment. No, I want to speak with a manager. So I finally get to speak to a manager, and he wasn't much better. His only response, "Well, you can always go with another company, but good luck with that these days. So many foreclosures and your credit is not very good from missing so many payments." So I decided to take his advice. I contacted my credit union, explained everything, showed them their own payment transfers, and the mortgage statement showing the other company had received the money bi-weekly like clockwork, and the credit union took over my mortgage. I got a reduced interest rate and killed all the fees, penalties, and got the overpayment back. I applied it to the new mortgage payments, etc. So when a company acts like they have you over a barrel and tells you to try to go with someone else, do it. Edit. This still astounds me even after all these years. I can't imagine any other company, car loan, credit card company, etc., asking, "Hey, what do you want us to do with all this money sitting over here?" and not automatically concluding, "Oh yeah, let's apply it to the outstanding balance." Were both of your half payments made by the 15th of the month? When your credit switches from the servicer, they usually require the first full payment, and then at least one additional half payment. So when you make a half payment at the beginning of the month, it's added to the last payment you made at the end of the previous month to represent the full payment before the 15th of the month. If something like this ever happens to you, file a claim. The company will have a certain amount of time to provide a possible solution. If your credit is important to you, I would call them and demand that they withdraw their reports to the credit information agencies. You can threaten to sue them under the act. I had the same problem. It really blew us up for a year and gave us a lot of trouble. Now our mortgage is with another company. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit the bell button. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.